So that was real odd. We had everything set up probably about what 15 minutes early, and we're kind of just like sitting waiting around, and decided yeah, we should probably still be late. So here we are, starting at 7:02. I'm Josh. We are on the wrong lead. To my top left here, we have Caleb at Caleb WVU there. In top right, we have Chase of Bleacher Report. And I don't remember what other sites you said you wrote for, but uh, the big star now moving over to ABR on Fridays. Going to be back home cooking for Chase at Oaklawn. Bottom right, we have Mark sipping a drink very smugly in a looks like to be an expensive sweater. And finally, we've been talking about this for months. He thought I was joking, but I was 100% serious. We have Brian, BD Horse Player, aka Mr. Middle Move. If you didn't see it, I did make a hype video for him. Please watch it. I thought it was hilarious, but I often just make videos for my entertainment, not for other people's. So take a look, see what you think. Anyways, we are on the wrong lead. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna take a look at some of this Gulfstream card here. Um, I'm gonna say this, and Caleb already gave me shit for saying this earlier, but we're gonna try and keep it short and get through these 5 races.
You should probably mention that we're covering the Gulfstream Park Pegasus Day card.
Yeah, it's a Pegasus
we're gonna
Day
try. We're gonna
card.
try to cover the late pick 5 is the intent, and to do so quickly, which is not something we're good at.
Yeah, to do so quickly, so that way we can talk about other stuff. There are 2 other stakes races on Saturday. If we have time, we'll touch on them real quick, as well as we got a stakes race, 2 stakes races at Oaklawn on Saturday. Maybe we'll get Chase's thoughts on that. But why don't we jump right into it? Here we go. Let's go straight here. Race 8, La Previante. All right, we got a grade 3 here, going 1.5 miles for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up on the turf. Since you're the newest one here, Brian, why don't you walk us through it? Why don't you show us what's going on here?
Showing you what's going on, that's going to be a little difficult because this race, I thought on paper, was a 2 or 3 horse race. I have a hard time coming away with anything other than always shopping down the rail with Irad aboard. Todd Pletcher and Irad, I'd like to believe they're going to be forwardly placed, but it's Irad on turf, so I don't trust them. But if you look at that last race, there was a pretty fast pace that they faced, and I still came away winning that one. If Irad's able to control the pace today, or on Saturday rather, he should be able to kind of walk the dog and have enough home left to come home. The only other question I had was kind of a weird one, is Delta's Kingdom, the 8. I think if it was anybody other than Junior Alvarado, I'd probably look into that horse a little bit better. I like what he did down at Aqueduct last out, and he's had a decent workout pattern, but it's one of those horses that at a price I'm probably going to include, just because I can't trust Irad to not, go too far back and try to rate a horse that should be forwardly placed. And then the last horse I kind of liked here is English Affair, the 10, strictly on class alone. Horse has faced a lot of hard competition over the last year and a half. And Joe Bravo, again, another low percentage jockey. So apparently I'm going to low percentage jockeys, but George Arnold can't win either at Gulfstream Park, which is a unfortunate thing. But it's one of those horses, or one of those horse races, where the 11 is going to take a lot of money. Trap Sing, I have a hard time backing a horse on a 4-to-1 morning line with Joel aboard, who's probably going to go off like 3 or 2-to-1 in a race like this that feels like it's wide open. I try to get a better read on it. I know the seven's gonna take a ton of money. Heavenly Curlin has been improving in every start, but I'm not a big fan of the artificial shipper to Gulfstream here in this spot. You look at what he did in the dirt, 4 starts early in 2020, and ever since then he's been at Woodbine. I would have liked to seen him run on the turf at Woodbine rather than artificial, but we haven't. So I'd expect the horse to take a little step back, and at a short price, that's somebody I'm willing to play against.
Mark?
Yeah, I was gonna kind of hop in here, and I think when I look at a race like this, there are a bunch of 12 furlong races on the card today, or on the Saturday card, I should say. Two more coming on later on, and this is sort of the if you didn't belong in race 10, you sort of landed here kind of a race. And I think when you start looking at these type of horses, you really have to start playing the pedigree game of who can actually get 12 furlongs. And I think in this race, you don't run into a lot of horses that really can. I don't want to get super creative here. I landed the same spot Brian did. I think Always Shopping is the horse this kind of race goes through. Should be on or just about the lead. Trapezing can probably, could probably get the lead if Joel wanted to, but I don't think he will. So I think you end up with sort of the 1 and the 11 on the front end. I think, Rad can walk the dog here, slow it down enough. And for me, looking at this pick 5 sequence, this is probably a lone A. On time form, figs, this is, arguably the fastest horse in the race. I like the setup. Isn't pace dictated, in a turf marathon, which is a nice thing to see. And, I think Always Shopping, I think the race kind of begins and ends there. And, the only other two that I wanted a little bit of, I know Brian mentioned, he mentioned Trapezing taking a lot of money. I think the horse is interesting with Joel outside, but it's not the trip you probably want Joel as your jock for. And the other one was Court Return, the 12, who I thought was a bit of an interesting horse. Pedigree does not say getting 12 furlongs, but has been able to get sort of in that 10 range fairly successfully. So, and it's a horse that has some back fix that fit, and you're getting second off the break with Sayas hopping aboard. So interesting when and I think Sayas had some other choices in here. He lands here. Not convinced this is a turf horse, but you're getting paid to figure out, I think you'll probably get better than that 10-1. And maybe the Sayas factor keeps it down, it keeps it around there. But, beyond that, I didn't really want to get too creative. There wasn't a ton of other horses I found super interesting. A lot of horses in here, I think, just can't get this distance.
So I was a fan of English Affair. I feel like English Affair looks like just from the pedigree standpoint, probably the horse to beat. I know that an English Channel baby is going to be able to get that sort of distance. It's gone that sort of distance before. It just seemed like that if I'm going to go on pedigree, solely, that's probably the play I make, especially, Calumet farm horse. I mean, with George Arnold, Jersey Joe, I mean, granted, it's kind of like the New Jersey of the South, Florida, but that's neither here nor there.
Ding.
Zinger. I'm going to disagree with Brian on one thing. Is I really like Heavenly Curlin in this spot. For one, I feel like Mark Cassidy went and got the right jock for this race with Tyler Gaffleone. He's been running really well on the turf at Gulfstream lately. Also, I like, seeing his last race where he really didn't let the race get too far, away from him, especially, by the second call, I'm looking, pulled within like a length and a half. And I don't think there's going to be just anybody who's going to speedball in the front to really stretch this field out. So I think it's going to end up actually being a pretty forwardly placed horse. And I'm just an absolute sucker for all weather moving to anything. I really feel like a lot of horses get a big pop going from a all weather to either dirt or turf. And I feel like I'm kind of backed up by some pretty solid, turf workouts after shipping down to Florida. So I really like Heavenly Curlin quite a bit, but I also really hate this race, and I kind of feel like anybody that you guys have mentioned has just as good of a shot.
So Chase, with English Affair, do you think English Affair gets the pace setup that she needs in here?
I really don't feel like there is a pace setup to speak of. I don't see anyone really going out and burning it up on the front end. I can easily see them going 25, 26 to the quarter, 51, 52 to the half. Like I don't think anyone's going to burn it down.
I guess what I meant though is, doesn't she need pace to run into?
English Affair, I mean, probably, but I also feel like the horse is going to, pedigree wise, have more to offer that late in a marathon race. that's I guess my big point with English Affair. I don't feel like pace is going to play a huge part in this race, which is I feel extremely weird and icky saying, because I'm very much pace inclined when I handicap, but it just feels like they're all going to hang around and it's going to turn into overall who's the most fit, who's the best horse. So that makes me think that, with the blood pumping through its veins, English Affair would be more of the horse. The horse will have something at 12 furlongs.
Man, I want to poke holes in everybody's horses so bad, but I know we're on a time limit, so I'll just say that I think this race sets up almost identical to, I don't know what that race is, the Via Borghese, whatever that December 19th race at Gulfstream was that Always Shopping is exits. I think the race sets up the same way. I think that Traipsing is going to get out to a uncontested, very soft pace. I don't think Traipsing is good enough to win. She got away with murder in her last 2 starts and couldn't get it done. I think Always Shopping sits just off and is probably your winner. That's the only horse I really think you have to use here is Always Shopping. I think she's much the best, tactical, the right connections, obviously, if that's something that means a lot to you. I think she's your most likely winner. But, after that, I wouldn't really knock anyone for taking some shots with some prices. The price I probably like the best is Cap de Cruz, the 9 horse. Also out of that common race. I've already kind of addressed that was a pretty slow pace. 50 and then 114 and 1. So Cap de Cruz was trying to come from off the pace in that spot. Ended up getting steadied pretty bad into the stretch. Was never going to beat Always Shopping that day, but was probably going to get second. Ended up losing a placing there and got moved up to second. I think that hopefully with the presence of who was it? There was the 5 horse, Lucky drawing in, might help Traipsing go a little more honest on the front, and with a better trip, the other Pletcher might be a horse here that really has a knack for finishing underneath rather than on top, and maybe that's more likely today again. But it's one that I would look at, if I was going to play this race in any kind of vertical bet.
Did you watch that race? Like, how much trouble did the 9 get into there?
The 9 was in the stretch and fanned out wide. Actually had a pretty good trip up until that point. Whoever the horse that finished ahead of her was lugged out pretty bad, and the 9 had to steady. And then the 9 re-rallied to finish where she did. She was never beating Always Shopping ever. She was probably not going to get within 2 lengths of Always Shopping, but she would have beat the horse that finished in front of her.
Yeah, outside of the I think 2 shorter prices I like in this race. I'm kind of interested in this 9. Probably like Caleb said, would be a horse I'm going to key underneath in like an exacta or try. But this will be like a B or C type here if I play anything horizontally. Looking at this race, I kind of came up, I guess, pretty much against what everyone else said. I kind of liked the 11 here. I don't remember if anybody else. I think you guys were all poking holes here. Mark did. I kind of like the 11 here. Anytime you have speed on the GP course, I will sign up. Hence the money I lost on Jakarta last time she ran. But you got your classic E8 type here. Now, Mark did bring up a good point. I don't know if Joel is a guy you want to have on the front alone. Not that he can't ride well on the front, but I don't know. I would much rather he would be coming from off the pace. He's one of the best finishers in all of racing. So, but pace wise, I think this is going to set up pretty decently here for the 11. I'm with Chase. I like the synthetic shipper coming in here. The 7 Heavenly Curlin. I just think that distance is not going to be a problem for this horse. Has run the synthetic, specifically the Tapeta, and that tends to, I think, transfer over to turf a little bit more than other synthetics. So won a grade 3 and it's just going to be stretching out a little bit more. And if something stupid happens with the 5 and maybe even like, I don't know, the 8, pushing the pace a little bit more, I think this is going to set up pretty nicely here for the 7. Outside of that, like I said, I think the 9's in here with an outside shot. I I don't hate the 10, and obviously the 1 here, but I think I'm gonna kind of focus here on both the 7 and the 11. And I see John Massey's in chat here. He likes Delta's Kingdom, Campbelleza, and English Affair because all 3 raced at Kentucky Downs. So he is going back to the well on the Kentucky Downs angle. Does that still carry like 4 months after the meet?
I was told by a wise Canadian that I only got a month and a half out of that.
Interesting. Anything else you guys want to talk about in this race? I feel like we talked about most of the horses here.
It's funny. He says he likes Delta's Kingdom. And going back to Kentucky Downs, if you look at what the horse did back at Keeneland at this distance, I mean, controlled the pace and just was a solid, 3rd place finish there. Not by much. With a jockey change here, might be a little bit lively depending on what the pace does and what Irad does down the rail.
Yeah, and you saw Junior here with Choice hops on Delta Kingdom and gets off from, I think he was on the 11 or who was it? Yeah, he was on the 11 last out. I'm assuming he had Choice there. It says something to me. And my issue with Delta's Kingdom is I just don't know if the horse is fast enough, but can clearly get the distance. So that's always a plus on these.
See, I think it's the total opposite. I think he's fast enough to win, but I don't know that he wants to go this far. It just looked like he was getting kind of short in that 1.5 mile race. I mean, that's a non-winners of 2 allowance. I mean, it's a decent race, but it's not a grade 3. I'm just not sure. Every time he's gone more than that mile and an 1/8 distance, he's kind of gotten short late. But if he gets the distance, I think he's a player.
Now I know you guys are talking. I know you guys are talking pedigree a little bit. I don't know how good your guys' overseas pedigree is, but what about this 4, Aunt Hattie? He's got the best numbers on average winning distance in the field, and has never ran this long.
Horse has both the pedigree to be a good turfer and a good this kind of distance turfer. It's a Dan Hill. Dan Hills can run forever on the bottom end, and Monjou is also very good.
Yeah.
The Monjou on the top is a very good this kind of this is a more normal European distance. My issue with that horse is just purely that is never shown in however many turf starts to have the speed to be able to play with these. Just isn't fast enough, and isn't fast enough by quite a lot. And I don't think the trainer change here is going to get it done.
Also, just the lack of consistency with training. It's not like, I'm seeing, I don't know, changes in this horse's history. I'm not sure if it's just bouncing back between the same trainer or not, but no, completely different ones every single time. Which it's a hot horse in the claiming game, but it's not really great.
I think it's a jurisdiction thing.
Yeah, I think it's a licensing thing. These guys probably aren't licensed in all the different states.
Because it goes Merrill, Sherrod, Howard Neal, back to Sherrod, back to Neal. You get a little O'Connor in there.
We've also got some Bill Mott. You've got
he's not fast enough, I don't think.
Yeah, and you have the previously trained, so it wasn't a claim; it was a move. But still, if Bill Mott can't get the horse to win a stakes race, then I don't think it probably belongs here.
Sweet irrelevant horse call out, Josh.
Thank you. Hey, look at the I believe the Dams Stakes winner there.
We're not doing good at this 15 minutes of race.
We are not doing good at this 15 minutes. So let's move on to the inside info here. Inside information, grade 2 for the fillies, going 7 furlongs on the dirt. Caleb, you go up, man. What do you think here?
Yeah, so this is a tricky race. It could be as easy as a single, I think, which to me would be the 4 horse. This is my time. I think 7-2 is just a silly line on that horse. You'll probably get 2-1, maybe, depending on how much money the Saffy Joe horse takes, or I'm sorry, the Brad Cox horse takes. But I do think it's the horse to beat. I'm not really a fan of any of the horses coming out of that December 12th race at Gulfstream. More often than not, when you get a big blanket finish where the top 4 or 5 finishers are all separated by less than a length, kind of in general, that suggests the field may not have been of a super high quality. I know it was a grade 3, but nevertheless, I'm a little bit suspect there. And that race was dominated on the front end where the runaway leader just kind of ran them off their feet and barely held on late to the 3 closers coming on. If I was going to go for a horse out of there, I'd probably look a little bit at Bronx Beauty. She probably was finishing the best at the end. Looking, from that race alone, it would kind of suggest that maybe she's better with the extra furlong, but her record doesn't really represent that. So I had a hard time figuring anybody out of that race. So ultimately, I just tossed them for the most part. I'm going to probably use the 4. This is my time as a single. I just think that she's very tactical here. I mean, she has early speed, but she's not a need the lead type. She's won at 7 furlongs. She cuts back from a mile, and the last 2 races are just so much faster than what most of these horses have run before. With the exception of maybe some way back races of Pacific Gale and Sally's Curlin. I just think that the 4 horse is the horse to beat here. She gets the right trip just off the pace. It's not a big field, so I don't expect her to get buried inside or stuck in traffic. And if I was going to look for one kind of more pricey horse to throw in, I looked at the 1. I've already kind of talked about that common race at Gulfstream I didn't like, so I was looking for a new face here. And the last 2 races the 1 ran were pretty good. And if you look at some of the companies she's been keeping, the resume is pretty impressive. She has a handful of, grade 3s, a grade 2. She actually competed in the Kentucky Oaks. And this is clearly a horse that Connections maybe got some Kentucky Oaks fever with and tried to put her in some spots where she clearly just doesn't belong. She doesn't want to go this far. They turned her back to a mile, and she's really responded with 3 nice races. There's no shame in getting beat 6 lengths to Latruska, who's probably one of the better female dirt milers right now. And I really think that this is the horse that if you're going to get someone who's not the 4, Pacific Gale's had enough chances for me. Sally's Curlin doesn't have enough speed to really get involved in this race. The 8's not fast enough, so it kind of left me with the 1 as the potential new shooter who might be on the upswing, cutting back to a mile and getting back to the right level where she should be running. So I ended up on the 4 mostly with a little bit of the 1.
So I pretty much like the horses that Caleb hates in this race. So I guess we're going to start there. I like Pacific Gale here. It's going to be the lone E-type. The problem is I think there might be a lot more speed signed up here than meets the eye. I don't know. I think that this might actually melt down. So I'm going to kind of have that 2-pronged attack. I'm going to take who I think the main speed threat is in this race in Pacific Gale. And if this doesn't melt down, I think Pacific Gale is going to be the horse that kind of hangs on to win. And if not, I'm going to back it up with the 7, Sally's Curlin, coming from off the pace. I know, Caleb, you said you don't like that G3 race. Well, guess what? I got a horse that finished way worse than Dreamery, coming from a different race. So a new shooter, but probably finished a little worse. But I just think that in this race, Sally's Curlin's going to get a little bit more pace to run into. So a little bit more pace. Seems to like Gulfstream. Is hit the board twice in 3 tries. So I'm gonna kind of go with those 2 horses. I'm gonna go with Pacific Gale the 6, and I'm gonna go with Sally's Curlin the 7.
But Josh, who loves Gulfstream? This is my time. Happens to be 3 for 6 and 5 of 6 in the money at Gulfstream. So, for me, this was I saw this exactly how Caleb saw it. The 2 and the 6, I think both have a lot of speed. 4 kind of sits that pocket trip, gives us a lot of options, and I think that's the most likely winner. I think, and I do understand where you're coming from, Josh, that there could be a chance of a pace meltdown. My thing was, if this melts down, Sally's Curlin's probably the horse that picks up the pieces if the front end comes off it. But I think the chances of that are pretty slim. I think you can get pretty aggressive behind This Is My Time wagers and kind of have yourself a saver to Sally's Curlin. And I do agree the 1 and the 2 make some sense, but I want a very small amount of my money going to the 2 of them. I think it would have to fall exactly right, and I think you'd have to have one of those other 2 that I mentioned not fire the race. I understand Brad Cox is red hot right now and he can move horses up, but the 1 and the 2 just aren't fast enough. And I think the morning line on the 2 is hilarious, and I hope it goes off at that because it's going to leave a lot of value other places in the race.
Hey Chase, can you please translate that trainer name? I didn't recognize it. Brad something. What trainer is he talking about?
Are we talking about Brad Cox?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. Okay.
So if you want a horse that's sitting a pocket trip, I don't understand how you guys are overlooking Petey Bianchi. That
I couldn't
horse,
pronounce the name. That's why I didn't pick it.
Petey Bianchi, Petey Bianchi, Petey Bianchi. I believe it's Petey Bianchi. But Petey Bianchi is a horse that, I mean, is going to sit back at that, a couple, one length back kind of pocket trip. It's got Tyler Daffleon up. You know, I'm looking at it moving. Caleb said he hated the December 12th race. And I was like, hold on, my horse came out of a December 12th race, but it came out of a turf race. And when I look back through the PPs, I'm seeing a history of where the horse has actually moved up a couple times, going from turf to dirt. Granted, one of those times it was a turf try in a stakes race at Saratoga, and then moved to Indiana Grand. But I mean, the horse has been working well. I'm seeing a couple good solid 12 second a furlong clip workouts. Speed figures work once you throw out any trouble or the turf starts. And I think that's the horse that's kind of sneakily going to get the pocket trip. Along with This Is My Time. Maybe sits right off of This Is My Time's right behind the early speed that we discussed. At that price, 12-1, I think that's probably where I take my shot, especially when I see that Cloceris is 21% for the meet, and 24% moving route to sprint. And then, Gaffleon 15%, but he's also hitting at 18% in sprints. For P-type, 15%. I think the horse is quick enough. No one really stands out in speed figs. So, I mean, if it's the pocket trip that we're coveting, then I really want Petey Bianchi at that price.
How much does your love of Petey Bianchi have to do with the fact that Petey Bianchi beats Slimy?
Nothing. I could beat Slimy if it's not raining. Under a hand ride.
What do you think, Brian?
I pretty much agree with everybody else. I think This Is My Time sits the pocket trip here and is the horse to beat.
Fuck you guys.
And it's probably a single here for me in the sequence. The horse I wanted to talk about, though, that I think is you had mentioned you liked Sally's Curlin, so I don't want to beat the 4 to death here and mush it that bad. But for Sally's Curlin, I was looking at this horse and I had a hard time going with it, because if you look at the running line, the horse has done a lot of running, right? And it's got 5 wins and 15 lifetime starts, and 2 of those wins were optional claiming races, much lower level here. It probably has the best, most recent class, but look how it's performed. In 5th and 7th and 3rd. That's not the horse I'd want, at 9-2. That's probably a horse I'm looking at 9-1, 10-1. But especially with this pace setup, I mean, you're right. Pacific Gale does look like lone speed, but I'm going to say it, Josh. It looks like cheap speed to me, and I think the 4 sits in the pocket trip and comes rolling through.
So we know why Josh loved the horse, obviously.
Look at I'm just
a 12-step program for cheap speed to get him off of it. He's just on the streets looking to score cheap speed, tweaking his little gums off.
I believe they call that Ritalin.
That's expensive speed, unless you have insurance. That's the clean speed.
Anything else in this race? I know I saw Jody also likes the 2 here. That's one of the horses that you didn't like here, Caleb. Cinnabunny. Any of you guys interested in this 2 here?
I'd hate to lose the sequence to a Brad Cox here with Irad aboard. I think if you're playing it here, looks to fit here. I just look at the past where it's been. Parks a few times, and then last out at Gulfstream Park. In the G3, finished 3rd. Not a horrible, but behind Bronx Beauty, who we just talked about. So I'm not quite sure if this horse has the typical mold for Brad Cox to turn it around.
I will say that if you look at the running lines for the 2, the last race doesn't make much sense. So I don't know if it was just a large jump in class that just made this horse look a lot slower. But if you look at the Parks figures, the fractions at Parks, I mean, the horse was putting up 21s, and all of a sudden was 5.25 lengths back on a 22. That's. I mean, Gulfstream and Parks are probably just as fast. If Gulfstream isn't faster, so I don't know. That last race kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Cinnabunny kind of bounce back a second time up with Brad Cox. I just don't know if I'm gonna get the price for it to find out if the horse is gonna bounce back.
Last weekend's results at Fairgrounds kind of have me concerned with Brad Cox. I know it's a completely different string of horses that he's got it between Gulfstream and Fairgrounds, and it might be an assistant dealing with the ones at Fairgrounds, but he had some huge favorites in those races that just absolutely came up empty, and so it makes me kind of have a little bit of hesitance with the Brad Cox horses, even though I'll probably end up betting them with both hands. But yeah, I don't know. It something seemed off on LeCompte Day.
All right, let's move on here. Another one of those fun 10 furlong races, or 12 furlong races. Sorry, my math is good. Yeah, we're gonna go on to the McKnight here, Grade 3. Gonna go 1.5 miles on the turf. Some of the all-time favorite horses for us here in Channel Cat and Sadler's Joy and fucking Mironique. But this is just I don't know, man. This is a race, all right. Chase, what do you think?
I think I'd rather just, I don't know, rub something sharp against my dick than deal with this race. I hate this race. I hate this race so goddamn much. I'm so sick of these horses. I'm so sick of seeing Sadler's Joy. And I really care less about that race. So with that being said, I'm going to take Sadler's Joy and Channel Cat.
Dude, last year there was a race. Was it the I forgot what race it is, but it was another race at Gulfstream Park. It was a freaking 3-turn race, and I'm like, guys, I'm back on the Sadler's Joy train. This is gonna be it. I am not gonna get fooled again by this same horse. All right, I swear to God, and I've said this before. Who was the last horse I said it? It was some sprinter. Was it Bankit? I was like, don't let me bet this horse again. Was it Bankit? Was Bankit the horse?
No, Jakarta. That was Jakarta.
Well, Jakarta's another horse, but there was some sprinter. I told Caleb, I'm like, Caleb, do not let me bet this horse.
Oh, I forget who.
And then I'm like, Caleb, I'm betting this horse. And you're like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, I don't know. I had a hard time with this race. I don't hate Channel Cat here. I hate the price. I don't know if I want to take 9-2, 4-1, 7-2 on a horse as inconsistent as Channel Cat, with noted turf jockey Corey Lannery aboard. I know Corey's actually been doing okay at Gulfstream, and there was one day where I think Caleb and I were both playing Gulfstream, and we didn't bet Corey Lannery the entire day. And we just fucking kept losing because Corey Lannery decided to fucking win 5 races that day. It was some insanity. I just was like, I couldn't believe it.
They were all prices too.
Yeah, because nobody freaking bets Corey Lannery.
Yeah, for a good reason.
Jesus. Usually. But so I'm a little interested in Channel Cat. I think if I'm playing horizontally, that's a horse that I will include as a borderline A. Talking about cheap speed, I'm a little interested in the 7 here, Tide of the Sea. You got Mike Maker doing what he does best, having these horses run, forever and ever and ever. And if you look 2 back, I think that race that with Gaplione aboard that he ran at Keeneland, I think that race probably wins this race. So I think Tide of the Sea is probably going to be my top pick in this race. Like I said, I'm a little interested in Channel Cat. I could see some world where Sadler's Joy wins this race, but I don't know if it's a world I want to live in. And but yeah, I think I'm gonna probably focus most of my play here around the 7 Tied to the Sea.
Here's a knock on Tide of the Sea. I'm looking back at, like August 2nd at Saratoga, even though it was listed as a good, good turf at Gulfstream on the 12th. And, some of these other like Saratoga days where that it was just dry as a fucking popcorn fart on that track. And I don't care how good they say the derf was, it was still the derf. I maybe this horse doesn't really handle a super firm turf course very well. Because I'm looking at where it's really ran the best, and it was Keeneland, Kentucky Downs, those sort of tracks. That make me think that maybe that might be a knock on it. Though, if I wasn't going to take Channel Cat or Sadler's Joy or some other horse that makes me want to fall through my own asshole and fucking hang myself, then it would be Tide of the Sea.
Wait, you're really taking those 2 horses?
Yeah, fuck it. I only could come up with 3 horses that I liked, and it was Tide of the Sea, Channel Cat, and the other one that makes me hate myself, Sadler's Wells. Yeah, I hate this race. It makes me hate myself. It makes me feel bad about myself. Like I handicapped this. I stood naked in front of the mirror and cried. Just cried my fucking eyes out. Not because I was unimpressed by what I saw, because I just hated this race so goddamn much.
Yeah, I ended up being 7 deep in here and couldn't get to Tide of the Sea. I don't understand. I've heard so many people mention that horse. Ryder Dave talked about that horse. You guys I just don't see it at all. I don't see the horse being low in speed, which everybody seems to say, and I don't see the horse being fast enough to win in any way, shape, or form. You guys haven't mentioned my top pick yet, which is the one Doswell, who I think is a horse that can be very forwardly placed. Has Junior up, is a horse that has the pedigree and to both be a very good turf horse and to be a very good at this type of distance turf horse, and is a horse that I think is lightly raced, and there's still more upside there. So we don't know how good that horse can be, and that would be my top pick in here. I obviously, if you're just looking at figures and you're just looking at the form, Sadler's Joy makes a ton of sense. That horse hates winning, though. Hates getting his photo taken, and he's burnt more freaking money than he has. Any horse has any right to. He ends up being a B for me. The other A's I thought were interesting, and I will be pretty deep here and pretty aggressive as far as trying to catch a price in here. I thought Temple makes a ton of sense in here. And I think Channel Cat makes some sense, even though I don't quite know what to do with that horse, because Channel Cat has not won in forever and ever and ever. But I think once you get beyond that, you can go in here and you can find some prices. I thought the 2 wasn't a horse that, I think it's, you say what, Tintoretto. And did I get that right?
Yeah, you got a little 2 right. I was hoping for
You're hoping for me to pull a me, yeah.
Yeah.
And be unable to say a common word, yeah. That's my thing. I thought that horse made some sense. The 6 Circe. I won't even try to say Circe Heeb. Makes some sense in there as well. I think you can go find some prices, but I think overall, this seems to be a fairly paceless affair. I want somebody who's going to be more forwardly placed. I want a horse that I think has some upside, and I think Doswell does that for me.
It's interesting. Everybody's saying there's no pace here, and if you look at the bubbles and squares, it definitely disagrees. It talks about the 1 having some pace, the 7 having some pace, and the horse nobody seems to be mentioning is the Grand Motion entry, number 9, Succeed and Surpass. Might be outclassed here today, but talking about no pace, if the 1 or the 7 don't happen to fire, I could see where Velasquez has the 9 in a good spot to take the lead and just come roaring down the stretch. The 1, Doswell, when I handicapped this race, I wrote down it was going to be Junior Alvarado versus Tyler Gaffleon, and I was going to take Tyler to beat Alvarado with 7/1, walk the dog and go and win. I don't know how I could take Sadler's Joy or Channel Cat, any of the closers here, with it being a paceless race, as you said, Mark. I can't do it, especially at the price they're going to go off at. So I'm going to look at a price to try and walk the dog and get a speed home. So either Doswell or Tide of the Sea, or maybe even the 9 Succeed and Surpass. But I think the 9's going to end up taking some money from 12/1, And if it gets down to 7-1, 6-1, I'm going to have a hard time betting that horse based on the running lines.
The bubbles and squares. Did anyone think to fucking vet this guy? What's going on?
I mostly agree with Captain Bubbles and Squares. I don't see the 9, but I see the race setting up the same way with not much speed. And I like the 1 and 7 about equally. Whichever one gets the lead is the one I'm going to like better. I would probably guess the 7 gets the lead. I think that's a horse that probably needs the lead a little bit more. That last race, the horse just got totally wiped out at the break. Going a distance that's probably too short. He's really turned into a turf marathon specialist, when getting out on the front end. And, I expect Gaffalione to do that with the 7. But, he did get rank in the gate last time. So, if something like that would happen again and, the 1 with the rail maybe gets the lead, but those are my 2 picks. And it's really the only 2 horses that I have any interest in. I mean, I'm obviously not going to use any of these mules like Channel Cat or Sadler's Joy or anyone else. And no one else really does much for me. I mean, Temple maybe a little bit. I may have a ticket with him on it. And then Sir Sahib, I guess the 6. I got a hard time using a 2 for 21 lifetime horse in a grade 3 shipping in from Woodbine. But I guess that's a horse that I wouldn't be adamantly against at what should be a decent price. But yeah, I'm going to have most of my money through the 1 and 7, and that's probably it.
It's interesting with the 6 that they isn't Atard, doesn't he have horses at GP right now?
I know Sid Adder ships down to quite a bit for Gulfstream.
I don't think Kevin does.
Oh, okay. Because I know, because Stein and Atard and up in Woodbine was just fucking killer all summer. So it's coming. If you don't know, it's coming from pretty good connections up north. And ran a game second there in the Northern Dancers. So
Sid can train a horse, and he's an Atard. Anyone? No one? Just
no.
I was gonna let that one linger.
No, that was just awful.
Thank you. That was just.
I'm glad you're getting these jokes out before tomorrow for the live show tomorrow.
Thank you for letting that turd just settle in that punch bowl.
I'm looking at chat here real quick. It looks like the bartender Rob's got the 7 and the 1. Jody's on the 1, the 5, and the 7 here. I see our boy Evil Bob Dole's on the 1. I didn't see JT Massey with anything. He was just he's making comments.
He doesn't play Gulfstream. He hates it.
I don't play Gulfstream either, except for days that end in Y on Thursday.
The unfortunate thing here is Mark said he's going to be 8 deep in this race, so you already know Sadler Joy is going to win by a head.
Yeah, I am putting Sadler's Joy in the winner's circle. Yes,
dude. You guys remember what was it? Was it Cross Border that got put up over Sadler's Joy? Yeah, dude. That was a fist pump ever because all of us were against Sadler's Joy in that race, and
we are all, I think,
and we were all on Cross Border. It was so stupid.
Can we get some new horses? I'm so tired of these horses.
Doswell's a new horse. The horse only has 8 starts. You've never seen Doswell. Come on. There's your horse right there, Doswell.
Doswell's worth a look.
Yeah, fuck it. Okay, I'm changing it. Doswell, just those other guys.
However, I am a little concerned when you have a 6-year-old gelding making its 9th lifetime start. There's something weird there.
So
out of the Chad Brown barn.
It was a difficult gelding process.
JT,
painful gelding.
JT's coming back, and he says that he likes Mironique here running on the grass. Coming back on that stuff. You got Hurricane Cat. Which is, fine. I don't really think Hurricane Cat's not really Storm Cat. That's not really like a real turf pedigree, right?
Storm Cat's a strong turf, and I have no idea about the bottom. I don't know about Hurricane Cat, but I know Storm Cat's a strong turf influence, and I don't know the bottom at all.
Yeah, the Dam's is some like rando Argentinian horse.
The horse is over 3 on turf. It just kind of seems like pedigree be damned. It's better on dirt.
I don't think distance is going to be an issue though. So, but
I don't know about that. The distance Tommies aren't that great on that horse. So pedigree doesn't actually scream this long. Although it does seem like more of a turf horse on the Tommy scale than a dirt horse.
John Massey says people have been talking about Doswell for 4 years. That's a new horse. They've been talking about Sadler's Joy for like 8. How old's that horse? Someone check his birth certificate.
The more I look at Doswell, the more I kind of scratch my head at things. Like the horse tried to debut in 2017 in Newmarket. Next start was in 2019, literally 2 years off between first and second starts. And the horse was gelded in 2018. So there's some interesting stuff here, but the horse I think fits for the race profile.
Although he is coming out of the Chad barn, so that's an interesting thing.
But he's actually improved after coming out of the Chad barn, which is something I don't think I've ever said.
Right.
Who?
Doswell.
Chip Braun.
Chip Braun.
Chip.
Chip.
You're talking about Chip Braun. I got you now.
All right, let's move on to the last two big races here. Race 11, the Pegasus World Cup Turf Invitational. Mile and 3/16 on the turf. No Lasix, right? Isn't that the big thing with the Pegasus races? There's no Lasix allowed?
Yeah, no Lasix.
There's no Lasix in any of the stakes, I don't think.
No?
Nope.
Interesting.
Nope.
Interesting that they wouldn't try to run a horse like Channel Cat or Sadler's Joy in this. Do you think it's just too short? The purse is much larger, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like $1 million, I think, versus 150,000.
Interesting.
I think both those horses. I mean, neither one of them are any good, but I think they both need every bit of the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well, we're going to be going a mile and 3/16 on the turf here. What do you think? What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, there's a couple horses in here that owe me some money, but no, I mean, I thought I sort of was confused at morning lines here. If you turned off morning lines and capped this race, and then you went through, and I was sort of surprised at how the morning lines were structured. But again, this is Gulfstream, so who knows? I think Storm the Course got a lot of speed, will be forwardly placed. Another Twist of Fate is also going to be forwardly placed. Of the two, I do like Another Twist of Fate quite a lot. The other horse that I thought that I really, really like in here a lot is North Dakota, and I think that's the one that I sort of scratched my head at the morning line. If I can get 10-1 on North Dakota, I will be throwing money at the window. That Red Smith was very, very impressive. I think North Dakota is that type of horse that is sort of finally putting it together as a late blooming. It was late in his 4-year-old season. That Red Smith at Aqueduct was a really, really, really impressive race. So, I think those are the two that I want the most of. Another Twist of Fate and North Dakota, and And Another Twist of Fate is that sort of horse that they finally figured out. Oh yeah, you're a turf horse. You have tons of turf pedigree. We're gonna finally put you on turf after 8 starts. And the other horse that I thought was a little bit interesting in here is Pratt flying into town to ride Say the Word, who is a horse that after moving into I shouldn't say after moving into the Model Barn, was quite good in the Gal Cox Barn. But that Hollywood Turf Cup was a very, very good performance, and the horse could have stayed in California and run in the San Marco at Santa Anita on Saturday, but they decided to come chase the money, fly the horse across the country, ship Pratt in to ride this one. So I have a feeling that at 6-1 Say the Word also may be pretty live in here.
What do you think, Chase?
I don't know. I pass. I hate this race also. I don't know. I think I might try to take a stab at like a deeper closer in this race on the Durf, which just feels like a fucking fool's errand, but just the way I see the pace maybe shaking out seems like the best idea. So I'm also going to be interested in a horse like North Dakota. That was a pretty impressive win in the Red Smith. And I mean, I was trying to think back as to who else was in that race, and there was some talent. There was a lot of talent in that race. And also it's kind of it's a 5-year-old horse, but it's also kind of a new shooter kind of face. But, North Dakota, Say the Word. I also might be interested in a horse like Social Paranoia, next shares. I feel like this is just going to be, if I'm playing this horizontally, I'm just going to try to maybe blanket it with all the horses that look like they fit from a pace standpoint. So to me, that's going to be more of like the horses that are coming from further off. Um, I don't think that anyone's going to get out there and really burn it up. Storm the court will probably do something stupid and storm the courtish, and kind of maybe blow this up on the front end. So I'd say North Dakota, say the word. Social Paranoia. Those would be my three if I had to pick three.
I'm going to say something that I've never said on stream before. I'm going to take the horses that I think are going to make the lead in this race.
Don't ever change, Josh.
Here comes the mushy on Largent.
No, I actually
the court. He's taking
I actually do not like Largent in here. There are three horses I like in this race. We are going to start with the 3 Storm the Court. I'm going to go to the Storm the Court well. Mostly because I really do think that this race is going to be won on or near the lead. I think Storm the Court. I think that this distance is going to be okay for him. So I think that Storm the Court's got the speed to get out there, get out in front on this with this group. I also like the horse that we already talked about a little bit earlier today, the 9 Cross Border. I don't know what happened to back in that Mohawk. Kind of just like, I don't know, just kind of missed it. Rated a little bit at Fairgrounds last time out. But I'm going to go back to the well. Mike Maker, Tyler Gaffleone, those connections, great. So I'm going to go back to this Cross Border well, especially at this price. There is no way that we get this price on a Mike Maker horse. I don't think at this, especially with what he did with Zulu Alpha. Cross Border is the new Zulu Alpha. Let's go. But I'll take all of Cross Border in this race. And then the other horse that I was interested in, oh goodness, where did it go? It was not Largent. Please don't tell me it was Largent, because I already said it wasn't Largent. I think it was Largent. Yeah, the mush is on Largent. I'm sorry. I thought I thought it was a different horse. Yeah, I think Largent's going to be the other pace scenario. You got Paco Lopez aboard. He's going to ride this horse aggressively. So I think that those are going to be the 3 horses I think are going to be on or near the lead. And those are kind of the horses I'm gonna focus on. Now, obviously, I think you need a horse coming off the pace, to complete your exactas, to spice up your trifectas, or maybe to use as a B or C in this type of race. I'm gonna take Mark's horse here, the 4 North Dakota. Ran really nicely there in that Red Smith. I think Mark was on the horse that day too, and I was not, and it hurt me very bad because I think I was on Red Knight. But I think that if things start to get a little weird and get a little fast, I think North Dakota is going to sit a pretty nice trip here, coming off the pace. You got Jose Ortiz, who, especially on the turf, is knows how to time a ride. And if you look at the stats on Brisnet, you'll notice that Jose Ortiz is actually like 4 or 5 percentage points better on S-type horses than he is on other type horses, which is weird because I was thinking Jose as being a really good rider on or near the lead. But yeah, I'm gonna go. Mark's just like scratching his head because he just hates the fact that I'm mushing his horse.
No, you can mush my horse all you want. I just I'm confused here. So Storm the Court. Did you see who Storm the Court's jock is? And you want a forwardly placed aggressive ride?
I've got an even bigger Storm the Court rant. I'm going to let everyone get through their opinion, and then I'm going to just tell everyone the fucking deal with Storm the Court. Please continue.
Look, I've said my piece, all right? I just want a horse that's going to get to the front, all right? I don't care how cheap or expensive this speed is, all right? I don't care if it's a fucking Lamborghini or if it's...
I didn't say cheap or expensive, but what have you ever... I mean, I realize if you've been watching Gulfstream the past month, Julian has actually been on some low speed a few times and actually sent horses, which is first time in his career. But it's Julian, come on.
I know, but the thing is that every time I go, there's no way that Flo's going to send. There's no way that Julian's going to send. the fucking French decided to just fuck me. Like, I don't know. It's just like they decide, hey, we are finally gonna go. Oh my god, I don't know what the heck. I don't know what Chase is doing over there.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh goodness. But Caleb saved me here. Am I crazy?
Well, I hate your picks, so there's
Okay,
that.
good. Yeah, there we go.
I'm glad I'm skinny in the previous races because I'm going to be deep in this field. To sum it up somewhat quickly, I'm using all the Pletchers with the Pratt horse. Is pretty much the short way to say it. I don't understand all of your love for fucking, what is that, South Dakota horse or whatever. I mean, okay, like, I mean, he got a great pace setup and did what he should there. I don't think that happens today. I think this is maybe on the short side for him as well. And we got 2 Tampa wins and a Colonial win out of your 4 wins. I mean, I'll let that horse beat me, especially the way Jose's been riding. There's deep closers I like a lot better. You know, give me Aquaphobia at 20-1 versus this horse at 12-1, if that's going to be the case. That being said, like I said, I'm taking the Pletcher horses. I don't really get why Colonel Liam is the favorite. I don't know what he's done to deserve to
I don't
be
even
favorite.
know who that horse is.
Yeah, like I looked at this and I'm like, who the fuck's Colonel Liam? And I like looked him up, and apparently he was like a hype horse at one point, and he sold for 1.2 million. And there's the whole like, oh, Pletcher trained Liam's map, and now he's training his son, and that's adorable. But like, I don't care. I mean, you don't go from a listed stakes race to a grade 1 and be the favorite, and you know, especially for older horses. Like, I don't care how good you are. So I'm actually pretty against Colonel Liam. He's the Pletcher I like the least. Largent is probably the top Pletcher horse I like the most, mostly just because I really like his versatility. I always thought he was a horse that needed to be somewhat forwardly placed, but he kind of showed that he can come from off the pace when he made a nice closing run last out in the Fort Lauderdale. The Fort Lauderdale, I think, was a super strong race this year. I mean, you had Halliday, Factor This, Some Like It Hot Brown. I mean, obviously, Largent, Doswell, the horse that we all talked about last race. The one horse, Breaking the Rules, is a nice horse. And that's not even counting the horses that didn't hit the board. I mean, you had others that ran a couple fake Chads in there. I think that Delaware horse was in there. So that was a strong race for a grade 2. I think probably every bit as strong as this. So I like Largent quite a bit. And my kind of co-top selection would be Another Twist of Fate. I have a little bit of PTSD, I guess, or maybe I'm a little gun shy because I was pretty high on Mo Forza last year when Peter Miller shipped him in, and Mo Forza just didn't run a step. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but man, did Another Twist of Fate look really good in the San Gabriel. Yeah, I think he has the ability to sit close to the pace. I do think that probably Storm the Court gets the lead, and Another Twist of Fate probably sits second or third. And I think that's probably where you want to be. I don't see a lot of speed in here that's going to set up some of these dead closers. So I'll be using probably most of Largent and Another Twist of Fate. I'm really interested in the Say the Word, the 11. I don't love the post, and I don't love the stone cold closing run style, but this horse was moving in his last start at the end of the race. I mean, he came home in 23 seconds flat, going a mile and a half. I mean, he lost to Arklow, who, as much as I hate Arklow, would be a player in this race. And I just think that that horse also is interesting as well. And Social Paranoia is another one. I think all the Pletchers make some sense here. The horse loves Gulfstream, and clearly we know the distance won't be a problem as he's won anything from 7.5 to a mile and 5/16. So I'm going to be spread here, so you can probably lock up the favorite.
All right, well, I'm pretty much on the same horse as you guys all are because you've covered all of them. So it's pretty good. You know, I came into this and I wrote down that 8, 6, and 3 were probably going to be the speed up front. But I do think Largent's probably, like Caleb says, the most versatile here. And the only bad thing here is with Paco, I don't know if he's going to rate. I believe I'd written down that I wanted to, you know, the pace suggested the 6 is going to be out front. But if you look at the past running lines here, I'd question that a little bit. Might be able to sit a nice, decent trip, but with Paco, I don't trust him. You know, he's probably going to send and push the pace. So I want to be a little different here, and but between the 12 and the 1, I'm looking for a price in this race. I think something crazy happens in the sequence, and this is where it comes from, because this is the race that you just don't know what's going to happen. You know, if the 8, 6, and 3 are all up front, and the 9 goes with them, you get a lot of speed up front. It sets it up for anybody at that race. So next shares I kind of thought was interesting in the distance change. I thought has ran well out west in the last 2 starts in the Seabiscuit and the San Gabriel. A little bit more distance here. Drayden's on board instead of Jose Valdivia Jr. I think it's a nice little move. 20-1 morning line. I think the horse is going to offer a ton of value in a sequence, and I'd probably make it a C, or at this point, just because it's something different there, and nobody else has talked about him. And then the other horse I was looking at, there was the 12 here, Social Paranoia. You guys have touched on briefly. Pletcher puts Luis aboard, and I do like that. The only thing I didn't like is, back in June, the horse ran a grade 2 and just faded away at similar distance. I don't know if he wants shorter. He came back and had 2 wins after that, but both the shorter distances. So I'm a little concerned that he
Also
can't
had
get this distance.
Had a little bit of cut in the ground that race at Belmont too.
Yep.
So that's the only thing, the only excuse I can give him. But yeah, it's a good point.
He did lose to Instilled Regard, who I know Caleb is a big fan of.
Oh yeah, and Devamani.
Okay.
So I'll just wrap this one up though. But yeah, I mean the 6, the 12, probably my 2 favorite horses that I like here. I think a little bit of the 5, and then I'm going to have a little bit of the 1 and the 12 as savers. Is probably as deep seas. Just looking for a price on the 1 or the 12 to pay something here.
Yeah, so I'm taking a look. I'm taking a look through chat here. There's a lot of love for the 2 here. Breaking the rules. We didn't really talk about it, but I see Road Warrior likes the 2. Jody says she hates the 2, and then she likes the 2. So I'm confused. I mean, she might be talking about a different race.
I totally understand.
Yeah, and Rob's going 5 wide here. So I think Rob's kind of taking the approach. I think that a lot of, or I know Mark, I think you said that you wanted the spread here. Rob's got the 4, 5, 11, and the 2 and 8. So he's on North Dakota, Colonel Liam, and Say the Word. So I think, is he on the same exact horse as you are, Mark? That sounds like Mark horses.
4, 8, 11 was where I was on. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Breaking the Rules and Another Twist of Fate. That Another Twist of Fate really did show a nice turn of foot there in that last race, huh? That was pretty impressive, and it does make sense with how well he ran at Golden Gate. That they're finally trying him on turf. I know the was it the Seabiscuit? He didn't run that well, but yeah, that was a nice race there, the San Gabriel, and Joel's going to be aboard again, so that's definitely be one to watch out for. I think you're probably going to get maybe a little shorter on name recognition, but we'll see there.
I want to ask Josh, who do you think goes off favored this race, and what do you think the price is?
Fuck, dude.
I mean, I don't think it's Colonel Liam.
No, I think it might either be Largent. I think Largent's probably gonna go off as favorite. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Another Twist of Fate went off as favorite.
That's kind of my guess. I think Twist of Fate goes off in the 5-2 ballpark.
Yeah, I think 5-2, 7-2. Well, I mean, it's a pretty. We have 12 horses, and I think in the top half of this race, I think is going to be pretty well bunched. So I wouldn't be surprised if the favorite goes off at something like 7-2, 3-1. But yeah, I definitely think Another Twist of Fate's going to take the most money here.
Go flip side on that. Everybody kind of liked the 4 or wants a little bit of the 4. What's your cutoff point for the 4? It's a 10-1 morning line. At what point do you say, I'm not going to place a win bet or exactly
straight win bet less than 5-1?
Yeah, I think the line on the 4 is wrong if I'm thinking of the right. Yeah, I mean, the Aqueduct Turf Racing is not exactly. I mean, it's good. It's good enough, right? But New York Turf Racing, is the best around. Like you got a horse that won a G3 in New York and is shipping into Gulfstream. I mean,
but it's also winter Gulfstream, so the turf is like Chase just said, it's turf.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I could see North Dakota definitely getting halved. I think 5-1. 5-1. Like I wouldn't be surprised if I saw 5-1. I mean, if you look at the way the horse has been working, the horse has been working like an absolute monster. So, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me that horse gets halved. But like horizontally speaking, I think that horse is definitely a use as a type or B. It's probably gonna be that cutoff type horse for me, but
I said let.
all right, okay. Let me hear the Storm the Court bullshit you got.
This is my come to Jesus moment, just for everyone who's watching. Just if you're betting Storm the Court, thank you, but you should stop doing that. The horse is garbage. The horse has always been garbage. It's won 2 races. One of them was a maiden race. The other one was the BC Juvenile. Is a BC Juvenile win impressive? It sure is. But have you watched the race that Storm the Court won? All of the fucking stars had to align. The right horse had to fucking fall down at the start. And, all this shit had to happen for Storm the Court to win that race. That's why Brittany Yurton was going fucking crazy when it came across the line, because it shouldn't have fucking been there in the first place. Stop betting Storm the Court. I know you're like, hey, he's moved to turf. He's moved to turf. It's a different horse. They figured out Storm the Court. They haven't figured out Storm the Court because there's nothing to figure out about Storm the Court. He's a fucking allowance horse. Stop betting Storm the Court. Thank you, but stop.
Is it a bad sign that Storm the Court's sire got sold to a farm in Nebraska?
Yeah. He's pulling fucking chuck wagons now. Stop betting Storm the Court.
So, Chase, what is the best turf course in Nebraska?
The one outside of the football stadium. I don't know. It might be the football stadium.
I was laughing because at some point someone said, "Oh, if they're selling Court Vision," and someone was talking about how Court Visions tend to do a little bit better on turf. And I think someone said, if they're selling Court Vision to Nebraska, the only grass that those horses should be running are those 5 acres on the farm.
Listen, if we're gonna talk about maybe favorite sons of Nebraska who can really run, I'll take fucking Eric Crouch over Storm the Court. I will take Scott Frost over Storm the Court. Fucking stop betting Storm the Court. I implore you all.
Taylor Martinez?
Oh no. Oz, please.
He's a Nebraska quarterback, right?
Yeah, but not like Osborne era.
I remember Eric Crouch. They tried to move him to safety when he came into the NFL. All right, we got enough football talk there. Anything else? Anything else we want to talk about here? Adrian Martinez. I don't think it was Adrian. I thought it was Taylor.
Park.
Oh, Fauner Park. Or what was you've been around long enough, Brian. What was the real famous Nebraska track that got closed down?
What's that supposed to mean?
That was Josh's way of telling you that
you're old.
Was it like Sportsman?
What about like Axar Bend or something, right? Isn't that Nebraska or is that Kansas?
I think that one was Kansas.
Or Oklahoma. Axar Bend or something? No. I don't know. I've only been watching.
Lincoln? Was Lincoln the one that got shut down?
I'm sure JT Massey's going to come in with a professor moment here, and
I can tell you Googled it because Axar Bend is a indoor, steeplechase arena.
Where's that at?
Nebraska.
What?
Yeah, see, Axar Bend, baby. It was a great track, or so I was told. Yeah, see, Rob Axar Bend. See, I wasn't crazy. All right, let's move on to the Omaha. Yeah, see, Omaha, Nebraska. There we go. Gulfstream Park, Pegasus World Cup. Is this the jewel of the? No, I guess technically the Florida Derby is the jewel of the championship meet, right?
Probably so, but I'm jumping in before you guys because I already know how this is going to go. I'm not listening to the Lakers and Knicks conversation again. I'm going completely different, and I'm going to take tax. I'm going to single tax and the whole sequence.
Oh, that is. Are
I
you?
think,
Are you sitting on a beanbag chair or your testicles right now? Because you got to set.
listen, Knicks Go is going to a longer distance. Third time out for the Cox Barn. Has never really been tested to finish. Has been geared down since going to the Brad Cox Barn. So now he's going longer, and he's going to have speed to challenge him early. Independence Hall is going to go. Who was it? Joel's on speed. Sleepy Eyes Todd's going to go. There's going to be speed, and I think it sits well for tax to sit off the pace. Saez, the only knock I have on tax right now is Danny Gargan is cold. He's not getting winners home, so I'm a little concerned there. But I have to be different, and everybody's going to be on Knicks Go. The horse is going to be even money in horizontals. I don't know how you can find value or string value out of Go Knicks.
Ain't Gargan like
Go.
40% this meet?
He's 38% this meet.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but he's cold in New York though, where he does most of his stuff, isn't he?
Yeah, he's cold in New York. He's Tax is a New York bred, right? And Gargan did lose a race today, so I'm kind of mad at Danny because
he lost 100% of his races today. He's cold.
I mean, he's horrible. On Thursdays of January 21st, he's 0 for 2, and that's not going to work for me. But so that's where I'm looking is taking tax. I think Jesus's team is a great second choice. I doubt we see 8-1 here. This seems to be like the made man horse, if you will. Every big race has that horse everybody's on. The one I thought was kind of interesting from a price standpoint here, but I think the class is too much, is Harper's First Ride. Again, if Independence Hall goes and Knicks Go falters and starts to fall back, unfortunately Angel Cruz is aboard. So what I don't know what to make of that. Tells you how live the horse really is, right? But you never know. Could sit a good trip, could get lucky, but I doubt it. So that's it. I'm going to stick with tax, single in the sequence most likely, and you guys can celebrate when Knicks Go wins.
Yeah, I do kind of think that Knicks Go could romp, but I also feel like you're correct that there's if you're going to bet against Knicks Go, I think there's plenty of ammo to be able to do it. I think that you have the issue of it coming off of Lasix. You do have the issue of it kind of stretching out, and then also I'm kind of, like I said, a little bit concerned about the what's going on with the Brad Cox barn after watching what happened at Fairgrounds last weekend. But I do think it's probably going to end up being Knicks Go. This is kind of how I felt last time Knicks Go ran in the Breeders' Cup, where it was just like, man, there's a lot of things I don't like, but it just looks like the best horse, and I feel like that's just kind of the way to go again. If I'm gonna go around it, I'm gonna say maybe Sleepy Eyes Todd with the inside draw is the horse that gets out there and just runs them off their feet. The Oklahoma horse, but that's really kind of reaching. I feel like it's possible maybe those two duel and you see a closer, but I feel like it's just kind of high cruising speed, fast early horses that always tend to win these races. So I'm going to say Knicks Go, but I will if the odds on Sleepy Eyes Todd get ridiculous, would probably have a little bit to win on that horse.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have 90, if not all of my money going through Knicks Go. I just think, depending on what figs you use, he's overwhelmingly the fastest horse in this race in his last 2 or 3 starts. Hasn't taken a step backwards since then. I mean, there's not going to be pace in this race, at least not Knicks Go kind of pace. The connections of Sleepy Eyes Todd are on the record multiple times saying they don't want anywhere near the lead. They think their horse is better off the pace. Even with the rail draw, I think this horse is not going to be near the lead. And I don't know that he could be, even if he wanted to. And beyond, Sleepy Eyes Todd, there isn't much other speed. I mean, Mr. Freeze probably sends from the far outside post because he kind of has to, but he hasn't had Knicks Go kind of speed in quite a while. And, looks like his form has really gone the wrong direction lately.
But he is trained by Dale Tar.
He is. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, Nick's Go wins this race to me by as many as he wants. I'm not worried about the distance. If you get a mile and a 16th by 10 lengths, you probably get a mile and an eighth. I'm not that worried about that. To me, the only risk of Nick's Go not winning this race, aside from what Chase mentioned about potentially Brad Cox having something going on in his barn, would be the risk that maybe Nick's Go is a bleeder. We don't really know how he's going to do off Lasix. We do know that some of his races have been just impossibly bad, losing by 30, 50 lengths. I don't know that he's a bleeder. I've never heard that. I've never heard he was scoped poorly or anything like that. But when these horses go off medication, you don't really know what to expect sometimes. And this horse 5-2 is not going to happen. You're probably going to get even money or 6-5. So that's the only way I could really see Nick's Go losing. Most of the logical prices don't do much for me. I'm not interested in Code of Honor, who just hasn't stepped forward really as a 4 or 5 year old. Mr. Freeze, Math Wizard, no thank you. So to me, the value here is singling Nick's Go and then finding prices earlier, or finding prices to run underneath of Nick's Go, to which I'm actually kind of interested in the other Dale Tar, the 2-horse Coastal Defense. I don't really think this horse can probably win, but the horse has really improved a lot despite taking a long time to actually get to the races. Didn't race at all at 3, didn't even make his debut until 4, but the horse sold for a fortune, apparently was pretty highly regarded. And the horse has really been taking some pretty steady steps forward, kind of had a bad start last time out. Lannery gets a lot of the first call mounts for the Albaugh family stables and Dale Romans. So that's kind of the horse who might get that stalking first run, clunk up for second or third kind of trip. Obviously, there's other horses that fit that bill as well, and I'm not going to talk about all of them. I'm sure Mark and Josh have something to say. But yeah, I think Nick's Go wins this race 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, I'm not going to go too creative here. I think Nick's Go wins this 9 out of 10 times, very much the same as Caleb. Speed of the speed, Class A speed. You're talking your Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner is coming back, and he's only stretching out another 16th more, or sorry, 8th more here. And he won that going away. So I just don't think there's anyone else that's even in the same world as he is. I do understand Brian's like of Tax here, and I think that's a very interesting take on him being able to set that pocket trip. And he's, but my one issue with Tax would be the same Lasix issue. The worst race that Tax ever ran was the one that he ran without Lasix, which was the Gulfstream Park, the PWC Invitational.
Yeah.
This race
last year.
Yeah, this race. So I have a hard time getting behind Tax and play if you're playing the Lasix game, and because it seems like he really probably needs Lasix to do his best running, and I want to like Code of Honor. He's hurt me before. And he's a horse I feel like I sort of have to include somehow. But, the 10 post at this distance is an extremely low strike rate. It's like 4 or 5% or something like that. The outside posts really do not do well here at this distance at Gulfstream. And I really think I'm going to play it much like Caleb. Probably 90% of my money will go through Nick's Go. And beyond that, I really want a price, and I want them kind of to seize that sort of a structure.
So, does anyone else think it's weird that Mike Smith flew in to ride Kiss Today Goodbye? Am I the only one who thinks this is very odd? I mean, like, does he really ride for Eric Krujak or whatever very often?
Not very often.
And I'm pretty sure
it is unusual for him to ship in for, I think, one mount on the day.
I'm actually double checking. Yeah, this is his only mount for the day. And, not that he rides a crap ton at Santa Anita, but he probably would have had 2, 3, 4 mounts or whatever at Santa Anita. So it's interesting to me that he ships in here. And he won the G2 last time out, the San Antonio, but didn't really beat much. I mean, I'm looking at it. Who did he beat? Take the 101 which is, I mean, it's a fine horse, it's but probably like more like an allowance type G3 type horse. So, shout out to Jose Valdivia Jr., who rides that horse most time. But
Big shout out, keep pounding.
no, big shout out to Keep Pounding. I saw him in a
Big
chat
shout out,
earlier.
Rachel.
But I thought that was interesting. So my guess is that Kiss Today Goodbye probably hits the board here. So that's probably gonna be a horse that I'm gonna want to use underneath. I don't think this horse has a shot at winning in this. I don't think the horse is fast enough, but I just think it's really interesting that Mike Smith gets here for this horse. I really think there's two horses that can win this race. Knicks Go, obviously, you guys have talked to death. The other horse who I'm actually kind of interested in is going to be the one, Sleepy Eyes Todd. I think that last race, the Mr. Prospector, really showed a bit for this horse. Was able to beat very classy competition in Firenze Fire and Mind Control. And I forgot, there's a couple other horses, I think, in that race. I mean, I threw Sleepy Eyes Todd out, I think, because I was like, there's no way that this horse wins. And then when he didn't break and didn't grab the lead or wasn't close to the lead, I was like, there's definitely no way this horse wins. So I think Sleepy Eyes Todd is a little bit more versatile than I gave him credit for before. So I definitely think that this might be a little bit of an upset here with Sleepy Eyes Todd. So I don't know if we're gonna get 8-1 with the Briz speed figure is pretty competitive last time out. But I mean, if Knicks Go isn't a bleeder and runs his usual race that he's ran the past couple times, I don't think anyone's beating him. But if I'm gonna try and beat him with a B type horse, I think it's gonna be Sleepy Eyes Todd here.
So Josh, in a shocker, you took the two speed horses.
Yeah, but Sleepy Eyes Todd, I don't think is a dead speed horse. I mean, kind of like how Caleb had said. And I think if I were going to take speed, I'd be all over Tax in this case. So, in fact, it was Brian who took the cheap speed.
I was looking something up, but as far as Mike Smith coming in that day, he probably already had plans and had no books out in Santa Anita for Mucho Gusto. He was probably going to come out and ride Mucho, is my assumption. So he had no mounts in Santa Anita, so he had nothing else to do.
That's a good.
At least that's my thought.
He got to the car rental desk and they're like, "Oh, we don't have the Charger like you want." It's like, fuck it, yeah. I'll take the Corolla.
The other thing is, when I was first starting and I was young, I was always told a bad jockey will give a great horse a bad trip more often than a great jockey will give a bad horse a great trip. I don't care if Mike Smith is on this horse. I don't care if you bring back Pat Day. This horse is not winning on Saturday. Jockey aside.
I thought that was a race.
Well,
I believe Funny Duck won that race.
Pat Day used to be a jockey, but
it's a race though, right? Funny Duck.
With Mike Smith's style, especially, it's like I don't feel like he's going to move a ton of horses up because his strategy is, I'm just going to let the horse do what's in its heart. I'm just gonna let the horse do whatever the horse is gonna do, and it's like he's never has someone been so famous for doing so very little. Is what I would say about Mike Smith, and letting a horse do whatever the fuck is in its heart and run its own race. That works when you're on these fucking Greek demigods that are chemically built by Bob Baffert. But when it comes to like a horse like this, like it's what is he going to do that's going to make this horse really stick out and win?
I do want to kind of mention two horses here. I know we talked a little bit about Mr. Freeze. I just think it's interesting to note that Mr. Freeze ran a pretty good race last year, not on Lasix in this race. So I know I think Chase, you were a little interested in Mr. Freeze. I think that's a good call. As a B or C type or an underneath type, I think that Mr. Freeze makes a little bit of sense. I don't know if anyone mentioned this horse, and maybe this horse is just too slow on other figures, but the 9, Last Judgment, if you look at that last race, didn't run on Lasix. And so it's going to be second time, no Lasix for Mike Maker. And that fig on Briz at least looks really nice, especially for a not on Lasix race. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, you get Paco aboard, you got Mike Maker, and you see a bunch of ones there in that last race. So, I mean, who did he really beat? I'm not really sure because when I look at the top finishers, it's just a bunch of letters with no vowels. So I really don't know who he beat. But yeah, that horse, it intrigues me a little bit just because of the last race with no Lasix and ran pretty well. Mark, you have a buyer or a time form up? What did that one come up?
Run a 103 in the Bayer world, which is I don't know, second or third fastest in the race. So the horse fits. Fits there. I mean, Nixco ran a 108 in the BC mile, so your 9 makes some sense there. But on the time form side of things, is 15 points too slow to be competitive in this race. So way too slow on the time form. So I mean, there's a discrepancy between buyer and time form, which is always some interesting things to see when you're getting a 20-to-1 type price.
Yeah, the Thoroughgraphs actually loved that race. That being said, the reason the race came back so fast that I don't like the horse because he's coming back on less than a week after running. Regardless of what the fig actually is, I don't think there's
Massive
no
top.
question that it was a huge top for a 5-year-old who's now wheeling back on a week's rest into a grade 1 after beating Florida Breds last out. I mean, it's a 20-to-1 horse, so like you get paid if you go there, but I think people are going to see that big last number and maybe be a little bit fooled. And I think he's much more likely to go backwards than to repeat.
And Jose gets off and hops on Sleepy-Eyed Todd, so that should tell you something as well.
I did want to bring not that particular point up, but the jockey carousel in this race. I don't really care because I don't like either horse. But what does everybody make of Velasquez getting off of Code of Honor to ride Mr. Freeze? I mean, this is a horse he's ridden most of his career. And he gets on a horse he's never rode before.
I think that tells you quite a lot about Code of Honor's chances of winning, quite honestly. I think that, Johnny V is going to go wherever he thinks he has the best chance of winning. Obviously, he's not winning at the percentage he normally wins at down in Florida. But, to me, that's a major, you're losing Johnny V and you're getting T-Gaff. To me, that's a major downgrade.
I think Johnny V sucks. I think he's East Coast Mike Smith, but I'm not a huge Tyler fan on closers either. So not on the dirt. So I mean, like I said, I don't like either horse, but it's.
I believe you have Johnny V confused for Javier Castellano, but I'll allow it.
I could see either way, but I'm sticking with my initial assertion.
Oh, I think there's a huge difference between JJ and Johnny V. I think Johnny V is way better than JJ at this point. Am I crazy?
I mean, I haven't seen JJ ride in what feels like 3 months. I don't know where he's been, but I haven't been either of their biggest fans the past year or two.
Chase is silent.
I would rate them equal. I'm not going to rate one better or another. I think each one is better at different things.
Yeah, I put Johnny V a notch above JJ. I think. I like how patient Johnny V can be. I just feel I can't get a really good feel for what JJ does best, and so it makes me super inconsistent betting him. And I feel like it makes him he's super inconsistent in races, and just really screws the pooch in races where he should he's on the best horse and then just doesn't do something well. Johnny V's a touch too passive for me personally, but I'd still put him right above JJ.
All right, well, I think that's going to do it for that late pick 5. I think we talked that one thoroughly to death. You guys want to hit any of these other races real quick? Was there anything? Well, Chase, I know sometimes you got to go quick, but anything on Saturday's Oaklawn card that you like?
We've got 2 really good stakes races with the 5th season and the Pippin. The 5th season, I'm not sure how many of you are aware of a little horse named Hunka Burning Love. It's a horse that I've followed pretty closely over its pretty much since last Oaklawn. and it's just been, it gets out on the front and absolutely runs its eyeballs out. And I think that it's, they're not going to be content to watch Hunk of Burnin' Love, just get smaller, and you're going to have some competition on the short stretch mile, and it might actually melt down, and feel like I might rekindle an old flame here in the fifth season.
Grade 1 winter combatant.
He's been around. I've been around. We've changed. He's changed. Maybe we're better together this time around. Maybe.
What about him has changed again?
Can I be honest with you? I tried really hard to make a case for Math Wizard in the last one for the same reason, because I've lost money on Math Wizard, but I couldn't get there.
I was waiting for it, Josh. I mean, I was really excited to just fucking tear into you from
I literally was waiting, dude. I was like looking. I was staring at Math Wizard's running lines. I'm like, how can I make this argument? I just couldn't get there. But
how can Math Wizard make the lead?
But yeah, it's a good race. It's got a lot of early speed. If you're not familiar with Oaklawn, it does the mile is a very short stretch where they actually use, I believe it's the 8th pole as the finish line, and so that's it. Really, just right out of the turn, it comes up pretty quick. So the traditional thinking is that closers don't really do well there. Last 2 meets, though, I've noticed that it's actually closers have been doing pretty well at that mile distance at Oaklawn, and so I feel like there's going to be a ton of money going towards Hunk of Burning Love. Also, the other speed, Pioneer Spirit in that race, because I think Pioneer Spirit is an Asmussen horse, and
Diodoro.
Those Diodoro. So it's going to take a ton of money at Oaklawn. It puts night ops into play once again. You've got the question of I want to see through this weekend what Brad Cox does in some of these bigger stakes races, graded and non-graded. But maybe I've been checking out Combatant's Facebook, and we've been sending each other pokes and whatever. I don't know, on Facebook. I don't know if you can still like poke people or whatever the fuck it's called, but maybe I'll give Combatant a call, see what Combatant's doing.
Combatant's been around long enough. You might be able to catch him on MySpace or something.
That's good, because that's the only social media I'm still on. The Pippin, that's a pretty good race for older mare, fillies and mares. A lot of a couple of pretty good names in here with like Our Super Freak gets rid of what ails you. This one is a pretty big field. Another one that got a whole lot of early speed, but I think you get a price out of it. I'm not exactly sure who that price is going to be just yet. If early speed is doing well, you do have Our Super Freak, which is a Sherry DeVoe, who's the horse trainer and not the Voodoo Queen of New Orleans. That is Marie Laveau. But it's got the tax mensch David Cohen up, who's just got to be licking his chops and ready for Oaklawn after finishing the riding title last year. It's a full race, and I feel like you can get probably a pretty good price in here somewhere if you can figure out which one you like. Once again, you've got a Brad Cox horse that's going to go off the favorite, so you got 2 Brad Cox. Actually, you got Flo Cox here with Florent Giroux available. So 2 good stakes races, right there in the at the tail end of the card, the 6th race and the 8th race to finish it up. I believe at least one of those is part of the cross country pick 5 that I think it's Naira Betts is doing. That's Tampa, Aqueduct, and Oaklawn.
And is Flo moving his tack permanently to Oaklawn for this meet?
I don't think so. He always kind of shows up to ride Brad Cox's bigger horses this time of year. I want to say earlier in the year, you tend to see him here for a race or 2, but he's not here permanently.
Yeah, no, he's normally at fairgrounds, but
Yeah,
if so, bet Mitchell Merle at all costs at fairgrounds if Flo is not there.
Yeah, he'll come back to fairgrounds and then be back around the end of the meet, or around like Rebel Day whenever they have bigger cards. But I mean, he was here at the beginning of last year and did really well on Brad Cox horses. I want to say like Taraz was one of them. God rest her soul. We miss you every day. It should have been you, not Swiss Skydiver.
I actually do really like vaults in this race, but
Yeah,
I haven't done a huge dive on this race.
I've gotten through my first cut, and yeah, Vault is in there as well. I'm kind of interested to see what our Super Freak can do in this race. But we'll see.
I actually look at this race. I was looking at that 6 Istin Council.
Istin Council, yeah, also looks
That
really
was
good. Yeah,
Yep.
But looks like a big step up in class for the horse, but might be interesting.
I think it's a good mount for Joe Talamo. I feel like Joe Talamo's got one kind of go-to bread and butter move that he's really good with, which is early speed out on the rail. He's got just excellent rail discipline whenever he can get to the lead with the horse. If he can jump out there with the stand council, I mean, he did the damn thing with that move last year at Oaklawn. I don't see why he couldn't do it again. With his trainer, Larry Jones really seems to spot them up well their second start at a track. If the horse can pop right off, this might be something. It could be another one that's just kind of dangerous next time out. With that Larry Jones second on the local track angle.
I did get a request, and I don't know, Chase, if you have to drop or if you still got some time, but I did get a request for race 6 at Gulfstream, which is a maiden 50. I think, what is this? Is this part of are they doing like a middle pick 5 or something like that in here? I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at that at all. I'll give you guys a minute to look real quick. I know you love maiden races, Caleb, so I'll give you a second. But before we look at this race, I do want to plug Chase once again. Chase is going to be on America's Best Racing tomorrow. The Wolf himself, 4 p.m. Him and I think Blackjack Fletcher. I don't know, some other people, but they're gonna be live. But really, the star of the show is going to be Chase. So check them out, America's Best Racing. They'll be doing something live. I haven't talked to Brian yet about this, and I'm gonna put him on the spot here. But I know we had been talking. I know Brian has been talking about possibly doing some Saturday stream stuff. So I don't know if this Saturday is gonna work out, but I think we're gonna work on maybe trying to do some live degeneracy. Coming up soon. I don't know if this Saturday is going to work out, but we'll post it on Twitter and do a little bit more. Kind of like if you guys watched, we did that Thursday night Turfway Park betting thing for a little bit. I think maybe we'll take a look at some racing on Saturdays and maybe do some live streaming that way. But
I do have to put some kids to bed, so I am going to hop off.
All right. See you, Wolf.
Good luck tomorrow, Wolf.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Please stop by and check it out. This is the only pandering I'll do. Please.
And make sure you tell them that you like the Wolf on the wrong lead. On the wrong lead, Wolf. Tell them on the wrong lead.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Chase.
Good luck, buddy.
Oh, Jody says that DRF says Flo's going to ride Oaklawn all spring. So yeah, I'm interested. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. I think Flo is a pretty decent jock. I think he's in that like second tier of jocks, but I much prefer him riding on the grass or the synthetic than I do on the dirt. But we'll see. I do also want to plug. We do have another Discord tournament coming up. Saturday, last 8 races at Gulfstream Park, $24 buy-in through horsetourneys.com. If you are not on the Discord and you want to join, shoot me a message on Twitter, shoot me a message on YouTube, however you can get a hold of me. I will gladly send you the link. I don't want to post it out there because I don't need Noel Pink to jump in there and bet all chalk and rob us all of hundreds of dollars. Or who's the other guy? Who's the other guy that is always in there? Who plays like every single contest?
there's a few of them, but there's normally Noel Pink is the one that drives me
Yeah,
nuts.
Noel Pink, dude, he's got your number, man. But yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Oh no! While you were talking, I looked over that race 6 for Jody and see what Jody was looking at, and that is an ugly race. I see why you're having trouble with it. Uh, if I had to look somewhere, and the one looks, going for their 4th lifetime start, should be ready. But you start looking at the first time starters. I mean, looking at the workouts and the pedigrees here. The I can make a case for the 4 because Kelly Breen's first time starters always seem to beat me, and the workouts aren't horrible for what that horse has been doing. Pretty nice workout pattern going back almost a month and a half now. So that horse is going to come in and going to be fit on form for the 4. And then the other one I was kind of looking at was the 9, the Bill Mott first time starter. You know, Bill Mott's doing pretty good. He's got junior aboard here, but looking at again, I like looking at workout patterns and first time starters, especially here. This was a $140,000 horse. Been working out since pretty much the beginning of December. So, there's conditioning's not going to be a problem here. And then obviously the Chad Brown and Jose horse is going to take huge money. That's a pioneer of the Nile baby, and who knows what's going to happen there. I got Ghost Zapper on the dam side. So the 10's probably the most likely just on pedigree alone, but I'll try to play against the 10 for sure.
Who else did you like? Who was the first horse you liked there, Bri?
I was looking at, I think it was the 4, I said the Kelly Breen horse, and then Holy Redeemer, the 1. I said that horse on the 4th lifetime start, the only horse in the field that started multiple times that might be able to move forward. You look at what he did. He had Raphael aboard last time at Churchill Downs at a mile and the 16th. Now he's back to 7 furlongs, where he was a game second with Javier aboard at Churchill Downs early November. So probably a well-placed 4th lifetime start, especially with what this field's given us.
And if I remember correctly, Javier couldn't win a fucking race at Churchill Downs that whole meet. So
the horse I really like in that race, because I've capped the whole card, is the 7, who's a bit of a price in there. I really like the running lines on a type of horse that you see here, where the horse was, speed, and then stopped in a maiden race, and they are. They are keeping the same distance here, but I really like horses with those sort of running lines. I don't think you can get 15 to 1 of them, what you're seeing there on the morning line. But also, if you notice, Zayas is about a 16% jock. Delgado Gustavo was a 9% trainer. 2 of them together, though, hit at 23%. So I always like when you see those sort of things. Jock didn't leave. Should have some form. Getting first-time Lasix here as well. I would say all signs are go. And a lot of times those horses that show speed and then stop late as maidens, after a couple of times they'll be able to kind of extend that speed and carry it a little better.
Yeah, I really like your 7 there. I think the 7 of the horses with experience, I think the 7 makes the most sense. Same thing, horse showed speed, is going to get Lasix for the first time. Look, Gustavo Delgado is 0 for 5 or whatever first time Lasix. The sample size is too small. If he wins once, all of a sudden he's 16%, or 15%. So I wouldn't worry about it. He's a 17% trainer the past year. He's off to a slow start here in a small sample size. Once again, I'm not worried about those numbers. So I see this horse taking maybe a step forward with Lasix. So I'm interested in the 7. My top pick is probably going to be a first-time starter, the 4 here. I think you talked about him already, Brian. It looks like Anchor Down is hitting at a pretty decent rate here, 17% first time out. You got Kelly Breen, who hits at 15%, but when debuts, hits at a little bit better rate. You get Joel coming aboard. So I really like this horse here in this spot. I was a little bit interested in, there was a... Oh, it was a 7. I was going to say there was a Speightster in here I was interested in, but it was a 7. So I think that the 7 here fits pretty well. But I think the 4 will probably be the horse I'm a little bit more interested in here, but I think those are the 2 most likely. What do you think, Caleb?
I'm surprised nobody mentioned this, but the 10 horse, Chad Brown, first time starter, is a half brother to Justify. So
Who?
you're going to hear that probably
Wow.
25,000 times on the broadcast tomorrow. And because of it, this horse is really short. But I think the horse does look good. I mean, the workouts appear strong, they're well spaced. Other siblings have been pretty precocious as well. Um, I mean, I do think this race probably goes to a first time starter. There's some pretty nice ones in here. I don't like the 3 at all, despite selling for $1 million. Both siblings or half siblings, produced by the dam, aren't much of a runner. I like the other Pletcher a little bit, the 12, but I'm hesitant to go to the 12 post for a first time starter who still has a lot to figure out. So I do kind of like your 7 as well. I mean, we don't know what a lot of these horses are going to do, but on paper anyway, this horse is going to be forward, and he might be the only horse that's forward. Adds the Lasix here, has a really nice, sprinter kind of pedigree. So I'm not against the 7 by any stretch. Other than that, I think the 10 is probably your most likely winner, given the Justify connection. You're not going to get a price. I like the other Pletcher, the 12 horse, a little bit, although I don't love the post. But yeah, I think this probably goes to a first time starter. I looked at the 2 a little bit. Second time starter who didn't run all that poorly in his debut, kind of took a while to figure out what was going on, but made a nice closing run coming from the rail. So I don't hate the 2 here, adding the Lasix and making a second start, but the Rusty Arnold barn has not been great. So I don't think there's a bad way to go in this race. I mean, there's a lot of different options. A lot of horses look good here. I mean, the 4 we've already talked about. I thought the 5 actually had a chance here as well. But yeah, probably 10, 7, and 12 would be my top 3.
All 3 of you like the 7. Get out of here. Give me the 1, Paco, add blinkers, add Lasix, and run. That's all Paco's got to do is run.
I don't hate your 1. I would
who
use
likes cheap speed now, huh?
Josh.
I would not be against your 1 at all. I mean, I don't know the barn very well, but apparently they actually do pretty well adding Lasix. Paco gets up when I'm sure he probably had a few places he could have went. Yeah, I'm not against your 1 by any stretch, and if he gets the lead, he could be tough.
Oh yeah, I'm just messing around a little bit since all 3 of you had to go with the 7 on me, so it is what it is.
Well, if there's 2 potential speeds on paper.
So Mark, we're gonna kind of wrap things up here. Mark, was there anything else on this card that you really liked? I know you said you're probably the only person who's probably kept the entire card. I think you're probably doing some tournaments or something here, but
yeah, I'll probably be tournament chasing, trying to get into the Players Championship. But I think there's one other stakes race on the card that didn't seem like it had a lot of price potential. It seemed like pretty logical on paper. That was the race 4, the Hooper. I'm waiting for Performer. I think is probably your most likely winner in there. Horses 5-7 lifetime. Figs make a lot of sense. Should set that nice pocket trip. I think Performer is pretty logical there, unless Joel does a Joel. No, I think it's a really good card. There's a lot of very deep, very competitive races, especially turf races, and it's nice to
What about race 7? Is there anything you liked on race 7? That was the other stakes race we didn't cover.
Yeah, I was on the 10 in race 7. I'm pulling
Sweet
up
By and By.
Yeah, Sweet By and By, I think, is probably your most likely winner in that race. If you get past Sweet By and By, all of a sudden you have to get real deep. Some horses like Our Baby Ruth, Zafel, the 3, both make a lot of sense in there. Vigilante's Way. Who else did I like? I liked Eva Lynn in there. I also liked Nico's Dream a little in there. So, but I think Sweet By and By is your most likely winner. I think at 4-1, Sweet By and By is probably a horse you single, and you get a little cute around. Try to get aggressive to that single in a race that if you don't single, you have to kind of spread. So I sort of like that contrarian. Hey, I'll just single this leg, and if you're targeting me to the late pick 6 or something, which do not play the stupid jackpot pick 6. But in case you're a moron and decide to, I would probably try to get single there and then spread later races.
Yeah, no
I do have
surprise.
to
No
ask
surprise
Josh,
in the. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead first.
I was gonna
Josh.
say no surprise in the 2 other stakes races. I like the cheap speed. In
I was gonna go there in the
Oh.
Fred Hooper. Tell me you like the 3.
Dude,
Tell me you like the 3. That's exactly where I was
Chivalry
going.
the 3? Is Chivalry
Yeah,
the 3? Because
Chivalry.
I love Chivalry in that race.
Dude,
Yeah,
that horse looks like the textbook cheap speed.
yeah, dude. That horse.
That is a Josh horse.
That horse
Oh, I
is just
knew
like
it.
all over. Because what that horse was it? It was on the Derby Trail, right?
For a hot minute.
Yeah, because it ran the Florida Derby, and yeah, it sucked up for second at a really really huge price. Yeah, because that was the other cheap speed. It ran in a couple other races, I think, with other cheap speed, other like Safi cheap speed. I forgot which horse at this point, but yeah, I think I bet this horse a bunch of times. But yeah, no, I actually like Chivalry in that spot because it didn't seem like there was a lot of speed in that race. Now, I think cheap speed's the best when there isn't any other speed. If you look at that race, at least from like a wide lens, I got the like the summary up. There's not a lot of speed. I think Chivalry is shown that Chivalry wants to be on the lead or wants to be near the lead. Like if you look at the Brisnet figs, it shows Fat Man as having like the best E2 figure, but I don't see Fat Man's is a closer on as a sprinter closer. I don't think Fat Man's going to be really that close to the front, but yeah, I definitely think I like Chivalry in that spot. I think Performer, like you said, Mark, is probably the most likely winner, but I would probably take a stab with Chivalry, especially if we get double digit odds in that horse. And then obviously in the other stakes race, there's another cheap speed I like. Oh no, I guess maybe this horse isn't as cheap, but Evil Lynn is probably my pick in that race. Once again, on this Gulfstream turf, I think, and maybe I didn't read this right, but I think the rail is going to be out to like 96 feet. So, which is fucking stupid. On their biggest day, they're going to fucking take the rail out that far. If the rail's really out that far, speed's probably in at least, 2/3 of these turf races is going to just be unbeatable. So I think Evil Lynn is in with a really, really good shot here. You get an upgrade, you get a French upgrade, you get the nicer baguette here in Flavian Pratt, upgrading from Flo Giroux. So yeah, I like this horse here in this race here as well. But of course, Caleb knew I was going to bet Chevrolet. I don't know.
That's why I was asking. I knew you were going to go there. I don't want to talk about the race. I hate Performer. I won't have him on a single ticket. Fuck that horse. He can't win.
Wait, the horse is 5-7 lifetime can't win.
Can't win this one. I mean, last race was so bad. I have zero intention of.
Yeah, in the slop.
Is there any worse feeling?
He was 1-for-1 at the muddy track before that.
Is there any worse feeling?
He was in the Cigar Mile too. I mean, that's the deep end of the pool. This
He
race.
lost a Snapper Sinclair. That is not the deep end of the fucking pool.
Well, he also broke
Snapper Sinclair is
that
pretty
day.
good, man.
And he broke slow that day as well.
He got Rosario'd, and I think it happens again.
And he was 4 wide as well. He can't. I mean, Rosario can't be 4 wide from the one pole, right? Right?
Even from thoroughgraphs, he's no faster than the 2, the 5, or the 7.
Is there any worse feeling than there's the horse that you hate that just keeps on fucking like dropping in class or just like not getting anybody running against him? So even though you hate him, he just keeps on like getting worse and worse competition. You're like, well, I guess I gotta fucking like who's gonna beat this horse? But yeah, I don't like I'll take my shot.
We're talking about Jakarta again?
No, because Jakarta keeps on going down in class and still losing. So that's a different story. We're talking about a winner horse that you hate. Jakarta is a loser horse that I like. It's the exact opposite. Brian, sorry, we cut you off like 9 million times there. What were you going to say?
I wasn't really saying much. I was just chiming in with what you were going with cheap speed and just poking the bear a little bit. But I didn't handicap the other stakes race. I handicapped race 3, and that's one of my highlight bets of the day is going to be race 3. probably into a double into that race 4 you guys were talking about. I'm looking at either Fat Man or Avant Garde in race 4, but I'm looking to open a double up into them with the second race with Beau Luminaire, second time turf horse. Julian's aboard for Rudolph. Not the greatest combo, but horse doesn't have the pedigree for turf, but performed pretty well last time out. And this race has so many conditions. It's like 7 lines up there on the top of this thing. So the horse qualifies, and it seems like it might be speedy with 96-foot rails. Maybe Julian goes at 8-1 morning line. Hopefully I get 5-6-1 on that horse.
I did like that horse quite a lot, and I bet you get every bit of that morning line.
That'd be fantastic, especially in doubles, because they'll pay even more.
I will pencil that in so I play it in the contest.
Crap.
It's not the horse I'm using in the contest, so pencil it in, Josh.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for us. We ended up going like 20 minutes over. So, make sure, like I said, if you guys didn't hear me earlier, check out the Wolf. He's gonna be on America's Best Racing tomorrow, 4 p.m. with Blackjack Fletcher. I think he's gonna be doing a regular Friday stream with them. So check him out. Make sure you show some support for him. We're gonna go be back at it. We're gonna be back on these Thursday night streams for Saturday stakes races, at least for Oaklawn, and as the Derby Trail kind of heats up. We got some other stuff in the pipeline, so we'll keep you guys updated. Obviously, we got the podcast coming out every week. We're gonna start doing another live show, I think, on the weekends, or probably not every weekend, but every couple weekends we'll probably do a live betting show where we just are complete degenerates. Depending on how long this goes, we might also start doing some Sam Houston streams. And I know Caleb and I like to throw money at that, even though
I love it. I hate it.
It's fucking impossible the past couple weeks. But yeah, we'll probably check out some. We'll get a little more content out there. So until next time, we will catch you guys later. You can catch us at wrong_lead on Twitter. Caleb's at. Actually, let me the names don't make any sense because Chase isn't here anymore. But Caleb's at CalebWVU. I'm at Cherry Drank. Brian's at BD Horseplayer. Mark's at 2 Turns. And catch us on the Discord. Remember, we have a Discord tournament. We got a lot of shout outs here on thewronglead.com. Buy a t-shirt like this one, which is awesome. But yeah, we'll catch you guys later, and thank you guys for coming out.